Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this webinar on the Joint Defence Call 2025, where we will answer all your questions, and hopefully this time it works. So the time that everyone comes and the time that we will start, I would really like you if you could let us know who you are, which company you're from, where you're connecting from, and so that we can check the technique on the side. My name is Rebecca Damat. I'm a Defence Technology Innovation Advisor at Luxinnovation, and I will be moderating this webinar. Can we have the next slide, please? So with me today to answer all your questions, we have Julien Silverio from the Directorate of Defence, Richard Macat from the National Research Fund, FNR, to answer questions, Maximilian Chibin from the Ministry of Economy, and Yuri Silian from Luxinnovation, who is National Funding Advisors. I can see that we have some people chatting in the discussion, so this is working. You have a space for discussion and a space for questions, so please start sending your questions there, and we will answer them at the end of the webinar. First, we will go about the application process, the main section of the full proposal, project proposal, and about the required documentation. So you have all of the more technical aspect of the proposal application, project application, and then we will answer your questions. For recall about the submission and evaluation, the timeline, we are today the 12th of November with the webinar on Q&A. The call opened 15th of September, and the deadline is the 12th of December at 11 a.m. No possibility to extend it. So take note, prepare yourself for the deadline. Ideally submit before, you never know if your platform crashes or whatever. And the project proposal that you will submit will then be evaluated by an independent expert panel. Then the FNR and the Ministry of Economy will take a decision on awarding the project. The Directorate of Defence is, of course, involved in the decision. And by April, the selected projects and non-retained project will be notified, and the project should start in May 2026. On the next slide, we will go a bit more in details about the submission process. As a reminder, this is a joint call. We ask you to collaborate with a public research organization and a private company. And in that case, the research organization will submit its proposal on the FNR grant management system, and the companies on the MyGuichet of the Ministry of the Economy. So the submission, the project proposal is written together, but each entity has to do its own submission. If you have several companies in the consortium, each company submits its own application on MyGuichet. So what kind of section do you have on the full project proposal? This document, of course, you can download it on the research industry platform. If you haven't done it, please do so now so that you can prepare for the best. So the main sections, you have the description of the plan, innovation and R&D activities, executive summary, project hypothesis and intended research innovation objectives, state of the art and previous contribution of the different consortium members, and questions, or we request some information about the innovation challenges and the method that you will apply in the project. Basically, it's a basic project presentation. There are some specificities regarding the defense aspect that we ask in the project template. So how the project contributes to the national, European and NATO defense priorities, what are the operational needs targeted within the defense sector by the project, how you validate or you have validated the defense use case that you are presenting within this project proposal, what would be the next steps once the project has started, and more specifically once the project is finished, what will you do, and how the project, the solution, contributes to strengthening the European sovereignty and strategic autonomy. On the next slide, please. Yes, a bit more on the different sections. So you have the project plan and collaboration, where you go over the work packages, internal human resources. If you have subcontractors, you need to explain a bit more and go a bit more in details. Project management, risk management, partner contribution. Of course, we will check the internal intellectual property rights situation and how you will deal with that, financial contribution of the different partners, and counterfactual scenarios. Expected outcome, economic and social impact are also very important. So what you intend to do, the innovation implementation plan, the commercial and economic valorization of the project outcome, what have you planned to do once the project is finished, and the action about the dissemination and communication strategy, and the potential societal impact of your project. On the next slide, I will leave the floor to Yuri, who will go more into details on collaboration agreement and the full project submission, how you do it. Don't forget questions on the right. You have little tab, and we will then answer them afterwards. Yuri, I'll stop talking.
Thank you, Rebecca, and a warm welcome to everyone from my side as well. So I will now quickly guide you through some practical steps regarding the different mandatory documents, but also the submission process on the MyGuichet platform. We'll start with one of the most important documents between partners, so the collaboration agreement. Please note that this needs to be an unsigned draft collaboration agreement that each partner will submit with the application to the respective authorities. Some aspects regarding that collaboration agreement. So it's really about demonstrating the effective collaboration between partners, showing the scope of the collaboration, the expected deliverables, the shared results, the shared financial, technological, scientific, or other risks, the access and the rules for allocation of intellectual property rights, and dissemination of results. So all also related to the main sections of the joint full project proposal that Rebecca explained earlier. Then, what are the conditions for effective collaboration, especially for research organizations? Those need to bear at least 10% of the eligible costs, and they must have the right to publish their own research result as defined within section 2.2.2 of the European RDI framework. Then we also have a call-specific criterion, which is that no party shall bear more than 70% of the total project costs. And in general, projects should show a balanced contribution between partners, so also balanced budgets as much as possible. And then again, very importantly, an unsigned draft collaboration agreement needs to be submitted to the Ministry of the Economy and the FNR by the 12th of December before 11 a.m. Moving on, I will now show you some practical steps with regards to the MyGuichet submission. So first of all, after having created a business e-space on MyGuichet, in case you don't have one yet, you can then go on to choose the procedure MECO, Aid Application Procedure for Research, Development or Innovation Project, which will then give you a clear outline of the required information that you need to input, and it will guide you through each step individually. Now, most importantly for you at this stage, I will talk a bit more about the selection of the type of aid and also the project specifics. Therefore, please bear with me on the next slide. It is very important then for the choice of the aid scheme that you choose the following aid schemes as displayed on the number 1, so RDI experimental development and or RDI industrial research, depending on the composition of your project. Number two, we're going into project specifics. Here it is important that you tick the box that the project is part of a current call for project initiated by the Ministry of the Economy, and that the project is relying on an effective collaboration in order to obtain the 15% bonus for collaboration. And then let's move on to the required documentation. So this, most of you might have accessed already via the Research Industry Collaboration platform in the zip folder. So now talking about the required documents for the companies, we have the joint full project proposal and the joint Gantt chart that are common documents that need to be filled out jointly by the partners. But then there is also, as you might have noticed, the folder specific documents for the company, which includes, for example, the cash flow, which is mandatory for companies that are younger than 3 years. You have the declaration of honor regarding nationality of beneficial owners and employees, and also the financial statements, which need to be filled out depending on the current group or company structure. Next up, again, an overview of mandatory documents that are part of the zip folder and that need to be submitted. But next to those, you also have mandatory attachments to your application, which are the organizational chart of the group and the shareholding structure, the latest available balance sheet and P&L accounts, the draft collaboration agreement in an unsigned version, the business permit, the CCSS certificate displaying the number of full-time employees for the company, a bank account identification document, then business plan and cash flow forecast for which templates exist, but as mentioned, which are only mandatory for companies that are younger than 3 years, and other relevant documents that you deem necessary or useful for your application. Next, let's move really into one of the more important documents of the application, the financial summary, which is an Excel file where you will input your costs in relation to your project. As you can see in the financial summary, you will have the possibility to choose industrial research or experimental development divided by work packages. This will have an impact on the final aid rate to be paid. So it is important that you put the right characterization per work package. And also you will have the possibility to input staff costs and other internal costs. So for example, for equipment, instruments, or consumables, but also external costs such as subcontractor costs under special costs. And then the Excel file will automatically calculate the total project budget, but also the aid rate and the subsidy for this project. Next up, and also importantly within the joint full project proposal, is the financing plan for the company, where you need to demonstrate how and with which means you will finance or co-finance your part of the project budget. So there you will input, first of all, the subsidy that was calculated within the financial summary, and then the remaining amount needs to come from your own resources, from a capital increase, from a loan. So this is really up to the company to define. And also importantly, in the financial summary, again, on the bottom part of this slide, you need to input the aid rates manually. So for industrial research and experimental development, according to what has been indicated in the call text, but also as you can see on the right-hand side of this slide. So depending on company size and on the R&D aid scheme chosen, the aid rates vary and you have to input them accordingly. Next up, I'll just briefly touch upon the required documentation for public research organizations. So as I mentioned, joint proposal and joint Gantt chart are joint documents between partners, but then we also have specific documents for the research organization that you can find in the zip folder as well. And just a few remarks with regards to the submission for the research institutions. Please assure that you name the Ministry of the Economy application from the company partner, ethical and legal statements. And also within the section financial part, you need to put the requested funding up to the ceiling amount, including overheads, the total costs for contract, and most importantly, you need to put the total budget of the company partner, not just the funding amount that is obtained from the Ministry of the Economy. And that's it from my side. So I think we can now leave the floor open for questions, and I'll hand back over to Rebecca, who will moderate the Q&A. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Yuri. We have some questions, so keep sending them in the tab for questions. It's working perfectly fine. Some question we have already answered. Is there a limitation of number of projects per PI? Principal investigators, that's mostly for the research organization. Yes, there's a limitation of 2 projects per PI maximum. Question that is coming regularly on the collaboration agreement between the public and the private entity, if there's a template, and the answer is no, that there is no template. You can come with your own template or your own collaboration agreement in your own format. Then going maybe in the order, more generally, maybe for Richard, which audience should this proposal be tailored, technical or more high level? If you would like to intervene there.
Yes, I can make a couple of comments. So perhaps for the research organizations, I don't know who phrased the question, but for the research organizations, it's similar to a Bridges application, of course. That means that it is not the same level of technical detailed audience as you would expect in a core, but it is not ever a very high level audience that you would target, but in between. So if you have an application in the general field of information and communication technology, then you can expect that you have something concerning satellite communication, that someone from the area of satellite communication you can address, but perhaps not the pinpoint detailed expert in beamforming or whatever. That's just an example. I hope that is helpful in assessing which audience to target.
Yeah, thank you. The question was asked by a company. If there's a need for more information, please send the information in the chat. So there's question. I will go now maybe on the MECO side, Max. For Max or Richard, what reference number should be used for the project at the on the MyGuichet, if it's the one that is created on the FNR platform? So if there should be maybe first the submission on the FNR and then on the MyGuichet, how to do that?
Maybe I can start and then let Richard complete the answer. So on the MyGuichet, you can actually submit at any moment in time just before the deadline on the 12th of December. There's no specific reference from the FNR that you need to include in the application itself. Of course, you should indicate that the proposal is part of this Joint Call Defense 2025, and within the joint full project proposal that you prepare together with the Public Research Institute, we will anyway see that it's part of a collaboration, who are the partners and everything.
There's no need to, there's no priority. You need to submit on the FNR and then on the MyGuichet. The importance is that the proposal remain the same that is submitted by the Public Institute and by the private entity on the different platforms. That's really the main point that we will look at, that makes the project being a collaboration. I'll stay with you, Max. For the split between experimental and industrial, what's the best way to evaluate if the project involves a mix of the two? Should we measure by work package or specific forecast expense, or select whichever is more descriptive of the overall initiative? So Max or Yuri, actually.
Yes, so indeed, for the separation between the industrial research and the experimental development, the best way to move forward would indeed, as you suggest, be to prepare each work package on its own, one after the other. And each work package you can then define if it's industrial research or experimental development. During the analysis afterwards, we will, of course, also analyze it again on our side, verify if your selection has been the right choice or if there needs to be a reclassification of some work packages. Typically, what we saw also in the previous joint calls is that there's often indeed a mix of first a couple of work packages about industrial research, meaning that you are going to generate new knowledge for the project, for the company, but also compared to the state of the art that's currently existing. And towards the end of the project, there are then a couple of work packages related more to the experimental development, meaning that you're really implementing the new knowledge, developing some concrete solutions, some products, some services, and that in the end there's indeed a mix of both types of R&D.
A question on intellectual property, assignment distribution. So this agreement, does it need to be attached as a draft, or is it part of the collaboration agreement? Is it two distinct documents, or can it be the same? Yuri, maybe? I see you nodding.
Yes, so again, this should be part of the collaboration agreement between the partners, where it is clearly defined what happens with, for example, background IP, foreground IP, and also IP generated during the project. So again, you should attach the collaboration agreement as a draft, and this document in its format should suffice to display and demonstrate the intellectual property distribution between the partners. That's it from my side. If Richard wants to complete, I'll let them.
One of the next question, I might request some more information to the person who wrote it. Are there any specifics if the collaboration includes several parties, applicant company, public research organization, other private companies? 2 to 3. The main question I would like to ask maybe the person writing is, what do you mean by other private companies? So this joint call is open for other companies that are established in EU, NATO, and Indo-Pacific countries that are partners of NATO to participate on their own funding. But I'm not sure the question is specific enough actually to be able to answer it now. So could you please just explain a bit more what is your question? I have a question in terms of financial payment regarding the joint call once the project has been accepted. What is, to simplify maybe, what is the financing scheme? How does the financing of the project works? Maybe Ministry of Economy, FNR, to give us some information there?
Yes, sure. Thank you for the question, first of all. So indeed, within the joint call defense, you can ask for an upfront payment of up to 30% in case that you are an SME. Very important maybe also to mention that if you would like to benefit from this upfront payment, please also indicate it already within the proposal itself so that we can also take it into consideration during the analysis of the proposal. In terms of the reimbursement, so it's actually based on the actual cost that you incur, so that after a couple of months, you can always submit some payment requests to the Ministry of the Economy. That's also done via the MyGuichet platform. Typically, what we see is that they are, depending on the size and the financial needs of the companies, they tend to submit one application a year or maybe every 6 months. That's in the end also up to you as the company to decide what's best fitting your specific needs.
And Richard, for the public organization, maybe a word how it works? I guess they know, but so we'll
Sorry, there was a communication cutout. Can you please repeat?
How does the payment works for public institute? When do they receive the funds?
As the public research organizations are used to. There's no difference. It's basically that there will be one payment at the signing of the grant and then after each reporting stage, and the final balance in the end.
Thank you. There's a question that will be for Julien and the Ministry of Defence on restriction regarding subcontracting, but I think if we have information on general information regarding the restriction, because it's the same, in particular of EU, outside EU, NATO members, how also to justify the participation of other entities with other nationalities or from where they're coming from.
Okay, yeah, so as is stated in the call text on the Luxinnovation website, and I'm reading, under justified conditions, subcontractors from NATO members, EU, EEA, EFTA states, Ukraine, and NATO Pacific partners, which are Australia, Japan, Republic of South Korea, and New Zealand, could contribute to the project. So anything outside of those for subcontracting is not allowed. And a justified condition may be, for instance, that one company or what subcontractor is the sole provider of a particular technology or something, again, which would mean there is no really other choice than working with that subcontractor for this project. So that's the type of stuff that could be a valid justification.
Yes, and also to mention again that there's restrictions regarding the nationality of the PI and people involved in the projects, and these restrictions are listed on the platform and were just mentioned by Julien as well regarding the subcontractor. We're on the same basis. So please pay attention to that as well when defining the team that will be working on the project. Thank you, Julien. So there's further question on the IP, if it's possible that the IP belongs to one party applicant only. Who wants to take the questions?
Maybe there is one comment that according to European state aid regulations, it is not possible that the company owns all the IP in such joint collaborations because there's public money involved. So that would be impossible.
Yeah. So there's a question, could you please show us an example of how to fill the maximum state aid request for medium-sized company? There I would ask you to contact the general mailbox that we have so that we can have a dedicated meeting to show you and to answer the questions. We cannot do it live, and it's something always specific, I guess. So the mailbox will be shown on the next slide, so you can contact us afterwards. Thank you. Quick question, who are part of the University of Luxembourg is a public research organization in Luxembourg? We have, for instance, the Luxembourg Institute of Science and Technology, with whom you can get in touch and discuss for collaboration. And going over the question, is there anything to consider when there are multiple companies involved? What is the other cost rate applied here, and to which item is it applied? Yuri, do you want to take the question?
Yes, I can start and let someone complete if need be. So if I understand the question correctly, multiple companies involved. In case all companies are partners, then each company, of course, contributes to the project and fills in or helps fill in the full project proposal. In another scenario where multiple companies and other companies act as subcontractor, these are, as you rightly mentioned, included under the special cost category, which can then also be included in the project budget. So this you will find in the financial summary more towards the bottom of the file, where you can input subcontracting costs that contribute to the project, as well as mentioning in the joint full project proposal who the subcontractor is, what he is contributing to the project, and why it is necessary, or again justify why the subcontractor works on the project, and also respect the conditions that were explained before by Julien with regards to where the subcontractor is located.
Thank you. Max or Richard, do you want to add something to that?
Maybe I can start also for the companies again, just to keep in mind as well that the budget is allocated per project. So in case that there would be 2 applicant companies for the same project, they would need to share the grant of maximum 1 million euros amongst themselves. So this could be 500k and 500k, it could be 700k and 300k. That's based on the specifics of the project. Just to keep in mind that the overall envelope is 1 million euro per project for the companies and 750,000 euros for the research partners of the same project.
Thank you. Richard?
Yeah.
Yes.
It's the same for the public research organizations as Max explained. Yeah.
Great. There's a few questions in the discussion tab, which I will answer. If there is a need for extra expert review, opinion from the EU, there is no need for that. It's a national Luxembourg-based project, so we don't need to involve the European Union or Commission into reviewing the project. But you are really welcome to work with experts in terms of establishing your project, defining the defense use case and defining the project. But we do not request an extra review of the project before submission. And then question regarding somehow the people in the panel. So I'm jumping back on also the nationality restrictions that we have. So for applicants, there are some nationality restrictions. Please refer to the call text again. And in terms of experts that are invited in the panel, these are experts from the European Union or NATO countries. So this is all we can say about this. New questions. Is there a need for an opinion or approval from the OSAID prior to application? So the OSAID is the national offices that deal with export and import of dual use and defense use. You do not need approval and an opinion from them before, but once the project is allocated, we would really appreciate that you get in touch with them to discuss about your project and potential needs for export or import. Julien, do you want to jump on that as well?
Yes, I can give. So as the subcontracting companies or partner companies need to come from countries that have been stated in the call text from NATO, EFTA, partner nation, and so on. Those are all nations where there shouldn't be any export issues to get export licenses. And so, as Rebecca said, if your project were to be selected and you were there would be a need to work with an entity outside of Luxembourg, the subcontractor or the other, please get in touch with the OSAID as soon as possible so that they can inform you on the best way to approach this and get the export license in good time. So, yeah.
Thank you. Question on the cost of the project for Yuri. Are anticipated travel expenses, for instance, for field testing, that can be integrated into the application, or only direct research staff and material costs?
Yes, thank you. Very good question. So indeed, it is mostly direct research stuff. So there's salaries or material costs that can be included as part of the financial summary. And then travel expenses are usually covered by the 20% lump sum that is applied on internal costs for any project.
Maybe I can comment for the public research organizations. So there, everything is defined in the financial regulations, but travel expenses for any type are possible, need to be, of course, justified, but field tests and everything are, of course, eligible to be included in the travel expenses.
Thank you. So back to the OSAID, it's because the license would be needed for the project that is developed during the project. So this, again, it's best to contact them once the project, the project is awarded. There's a bit of time between when you have the information that the project is awarded and when the project starts, so you will have enough time there to contact them about the license that you would need. There's Julien. No.
Yeah, just the OSAID is once a technology or information needs to be shared outside of Luxembourg. So if you produce something solely in Luxembourg and you are not sharing any information with a subcontractor outside of Luxembourg, you don't need an export license as such. Now, if you just want to know once it is produced and you want to export it, let's say in 5 years' time, because everything is fine, is done, you have a full product that you want to export, and you also already want to get information about will it be possible to be exported later, there you can, of course, already contact the OSAID. But as such, for the R&D project that needs to be financed here in the context of this call, if you don't need or you don't collaborate with anything outside of Luxembourg, you don't need an export license.
Thank you. I don't
Perhaps
have...
just, sorry if I just want to add on, especially for the public research organizations, that they should consider that it's not just goods and services, but also knowledge transfer, publications, and everything that can, I stress can, follow or fall under export control, just in theory.
Thank you. So it appears that there's no more technical questions, but one more generic, which is quite important as well. Can AI be used to assist in populating some responses? So who wants to jump first on the question? Lisa, are you ready? My opinion on that is in particular regarding the defense related question, we will see when it's AI, because it's going to be extremely generic and the project in theory will be specific, so the defense use case will be specific as well. So we trust you to put your best efforts to submit a project proposal that is comprehensive and technologically forward advancing. I doubt AI can reply there in a sufficient manner so that we and the experts know that the project is really something good. That's my take on it. Ministry of Economy, Directorate of Defence, DFNR, they are the ones that will be involved in the evaluation, so I will now give them the floor for maybe bringing you some insight on that.
Sorry, Rebecca, I was muted when I started talking and
I
thought I
sorry.
had nothing to say. My bad. Concerning the topic on AI, the FNR has actual short but comprehensive FNR guidelines on generative artificial intelligence, especially, of course, in the application process. I will post the link in the discussion tab. But in general, the opinion of the FNR at the moment as it stands is that as AI is so broad, and even, I mean, just checking your application for spelling or for grammar errors can already be considered as AI. There are no, let's say, very specific restrictions on it. But I will post the general guidelines in the chat.
Thank you, Richard. Max or Julien, do you have a point on that?
I agree with what Richard just mentioned. So indeed, we trust that the applicants put their best effort into the preparation, and that's kind of it. Thank you.
From my side, I just want to emphasize what you said, Rebecca. If you try using AI for the defense use cases, I'm sorry, but very obvious, because most AIs have blockages once it concerns defense, and it's going to be very high level, and it's not what we will be after. So just be careful about this.
Thank you. No more technical questions. Coming to the end, there's one very important question which I wanted to take for the end of this Q&A as a form of conclusion. When will be the next Joint Call Defense organized? Because we will organize the next one, and it will be next year, 2026, around the same time frame, September, December, opening in September, submission deadline in December. And there will be then another one in 2027, again on the same time frame, September, December. So you can already book your agenda, plan your resources, plan your ID for these future joint calls. But more information regarding call text, criteria, eligibility, and all that will be communicated around mid of next year. So this is for the next joint call. And for the current, since we are coming to the conclusion, I will ask for the next slide so you have contact details. Please remember, the deadline is on the 12th of December at 11. If you have questions, you have this email address, contact@researchindustrycollaboration.edu, but also a page on the FNR website. Check the research industry collaboration platform for the call text, for the information of the eligibility criteria, and to download as well the proposal template and so on. With that, we would like all heartfully to thank you for coming, for asking the questions, and we are looking forward for the project that we will receive. And yes, if you have questions, contact at researchindustrycollaboration.lu or the FNR, and wishing you a good day and a good proposal preparation, mostly. Thank you.